Hi, everyone. Maggie O here with Homeschool with Maggie O, and we're continuing our science curriculum review series. Today, we're looking at Science Shepherd. And this one is particularly interesting because it gives us another way to think about homeschooling science or homeschool science. We've looked at programs that are heavily parent led, family style science, the literature rich science, hands on science. Science Shepherd gives us something else to consider: video based science instruction with the ability for students to become increasingly independent. And for some homeschool parents, I know that immediately gets your attention because maybe you enjoy teaching language arts or history or math, elementary math, but you start hearing words like chemistry, physics, and high school biology, and you're thinking, I would really rather somebody else teach that. And that's fair. So today we're going to take a look at what Science Shepherd offers, how the program changes as students get older, how much parental involvement is required, how hands-on it is, its worldview, and what type of learner I think may do especially well with it. So let's take a look. Let me share my screen. We're going to jump right over to their site. And the first thing I want you to notice is that Science Shepherd isn't just one science course. They now have quite a range of science options. You're going to see introductory science, earth science, physical science, astronomy, life science, biology, chemistry, physics, and additional courses and electives. So this is a company where you can potentially stay with them for several years, depending on the teaching style, if that's working for your child. And right here, you'll also see three words that Science Shepherd uses to describe its curriculum: simplicity, excellence, and biblical perspective. And that last word it is very important. Science Shepherd is a Christian science curriculum. We'll talk more about that, exactly what that means, when I get to the worldview. So I just want to take you through this a little bit. I'm not going to go through every one of these because we'd be here all day. Instead, I want to show you three different stages: elementary, middle school, and high school, because that's going to give you a much better understanding of how Science Shepherd actually works. This is Science Shepherd's elementary science program designed for approximately grades 1 through 5. And this is primarily a video based curriculum. There are 171 short daily video lessons covering a wide range of science topics. So we're talking about things like creation, geology, biology, meteorology, oceanography, astronomy, and more. So, unlike Real Science Odyssey, where we saw children spending a substantial amount of time studying one scientific discipline, introductory science gives younger students a broad survey of science. And look at the length of these videos. It's telling you how many's here. I wanted to get this right here. If we come in here, it tells you how many weeks. But the length of the videos are like 18 minutes average length time. So that means that your lessons are short. The complete course has more than 170 videos, but only a little over 7 hours of total video instruction. So think about that. That works out to an average video lesson of roughly 2.5 minutes. And I actually want parents to notice that, because when we say video curriculum, you may picture your 6-year-old sitting in front of a computer watching 30-minute lectures. That's not what this is. These are short, focused lessons. Okay, and I want to go back here. And notice that they have level A, which they'll tell you is recommended for elementary grades 1 through 3 or ages 6 through 9. And the workbook level B is grades 3 through 5 and ages 8 through 11. Level A let's see here. We already covered that. Okay. But here's the important part. Both levels watch the same video lessons. The difference is in the workbook. That's what I was trying to, when I was coming here, I thought it was going to show us something right here. It gives you a little bit different perspective in the workbook. Um, so imagine that you have a second grader and a fourth grader. They can sit down together, they can watch the same science lesson, and then each child can complete the workbook that's appropriate for his or her level, which is pretty cool. That's a really nice option for a homeschool family trying to combine children without expecting everybody to do identical work. And the workbook is used alongside the video. And you can come in here. The pricing is all where you can see it. And here is like this introductory workbook. I was going to show you. See, they give you pages where you can see down here what the work looks like. It's well laid out. It's not, so one thing about this is you see this, it's very black and white, right? It's not colorful with a bunch of pretty pictures on it, but it does go along with the video. Students use it during and after the lesson to reinforce what they've learned. And there are also practical activities built into the program. Um, just like here, you've got a puzzle, for example. And the hands on activities are optional. That's an important distinction. Some of the science curricula that we've looked at really depend upon experiments and hands on work as the primary method of learning. Here, the video instruction and workbook provide the core structure, and you can add the activities. So, if you're a parent who loves hands on science, you can incorporate those. If you're having one of those weeks where everything is falling apart and you just need to get the science done, the lesson doesn't necessarily collapse because you didn't complete every optional activity. So that's important. Um, and then I wanted to show, I think I was already on it. They will show you the schedule, that it includes 35-week schedule. I'm going to click on this one. Let's see. This is just another sample. Um, but it gives you all of this information here in the about and key features and the age and the details, how many pages it is, and so on and so forth. And you can follow that schedule or you can work at your own pace. And there's something else that I want to point out. In the introductory science does not use tests or quizzes. For younger students, the emphasis is on learning and reinforcing that material through the video lessons and workbook rather than formal testing. And then before we go any further, I want to show you this. They have really useful free preview pages. So let's just pick one. Here's the video that you can kind of get an idea.
Hi, and welcome to Science Shepherd's Human Anatomy and Physiology. I'm Scott Harden, the founder and owner of the company, as well as the author of our courses and textbooks. As a physician, human anatomy and physiology is one of my favorite subjects in all of science, and I really look forward to walking you through this material in a thoughtful and, I hope, fun way this year. As we move through the material during the course and you learn more, it should become apparent how you can apply this knowledge to develop.
Let's see, let's jump to, I wanted to go in here because I wanted to
Too many parts for me to
there we
mention
go.
them all right now. The key parts of the immune system, which fights infection, are the lymph vessels or lymphatics, lymph nodes, bone marrow, thymus, and spleen. The hypothalamus and pituitary gland in the brain are the super controller of the chemical communication system called the endocrine system that, while it affects all tissues and cells in the body in some way,
So just to give you an idea of how that sounds.
primarily on the adrenal glands, the thyroid, and the pancreas. The kidneys, ureter.
You can go through all of those and check all these out. He's a physician, for example, and he's the one that's doing the anatomy and physiology. Okay, so Um, and I really do think you should utilize things like you've heard me say this before. Anytime you have something like this, utilize it before you buy anything. And for older kids, if you could sit down with them and see how they react to it and how they would look, how they would like it, that helps. For introductory science, the free preview currently includes 6 complete lesson videos, and they give you the corresponding workbook pages for both level A and level B. And this is fantastic, so that you know what goes with what. You watch a lesson, you can look at the level A workbook or the level B, and then have your child try it, see how they like it. And don't worry about what grade is printed on the website for 5 minutes. Look at your actual child and ask, which of these allows my child to work successfully while still being appropriately challenged? That's placement. And that's much more useful than choosing something simply because your child is technically in third grade. Let's see, let's look at biology. Here's another sample video, microscope lab. And this sample video lab, fetal pig dissection. It's going to show you, here is the scope and sequence right here. Here is the 36-week schedule, the sample textbook. It gives you all of these samples right here so you can see it. So, and then it tells you additional earth science samples. You have scope and sequence for level A, here's B. And here are the activities that you can go with and the extra questions. These are exactly the things that I want you looking at before you buy any of your curriculum. Okay, so let's head back to life science. And this is more middle school. And this is Science Shepherd Life Science. It's primarily designed for grades 6 through 8. It can be used with some older students who haven't had much formal science or who need a less advanced introduction before moving into more rigorous high school science. And you're immediately going to notice that the structure has changed. Um, let's see here. I wanted to get into these books. And you can see you have the digital book here as well. Um, Unlike elementary science, which is built around short videos, the foundation of life science is now a textbook. Um, the 3 book set includes life science, textbook, the answer key for the parents, and the test booklet. So, see, now you're starting to see testing. So, we've moved into more formal academic science. And then it also provides it to you in a digital form as well. But Science Shepherd, um, it's a comprehensive video course. It offers that. And this is where I think this curriculum becomes particularly interesting for independent learners. The life science video course contains more than 110 video lessons and approximately 21 hours of instruction. Each video follows the reading schedule in the parent companion. So this follows this parent companion book. So the student can read the material and then have Dr. Scott Harden actually teach through the material on video. That's pretty cool. And you also have these optional add-ons. So think about what we're doing here. We're gradually moving from short elementary videos with a workbook to a textbook-based middle school course with optional comprehensive video instruction, testing, and labs. That's a progression toward independence. And then here you have the free preview. So you are able to preview what's coming. And it includes several complete video lessons. The preview also has corresponding section of the textbook and workbook and a chapter of online review questions. Use it, especially with middle school student, and let them watch the lesson. Have them look at the sample that you're going to get and ask, could you learn this way? Because we're beginning to move towards student ownership of curriculum. Now let's move into high school. And this is Science Shepherd Biology that we're looking at. This is designed as a comprehensive college preparatory high school biology course for grades 9 and above. And the foundation of the course is the biology textbook. We're talking about a substantial textbook, more than 700 pages, covering areas such as biochemistry, um, cells, genetics, classification, human anatomy and physiology, ecology, and creation and evolution. Students have study questions at the end of chapters, and the curriculum is intentionally designed for independent study. And once again, you have the option of adding comprehensive video instruction. The biology video course has 133 lessons and more than 42 hours of instruction. So we've gone from those tiny elementary videos to much more substantial high school instruction. The videos follow the textbook section by section, and that's something I think could be extremely helpful for a student who struggles to learn science simply by reading a textbook. And then look at here, down here in the lab. The biology video course also includes lab videos. There are videos demonstrating the process and expected results for 19 experiments. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean your students should simply watch somebody else do the lab. If you're documenting a laboratory science course for high school, you need to determine what your student needs to complete personally. But having someone demonstrate the experiment can be tremendously helpful, especially for a homeschool parent who's thinking, I haven't taken biology in 25 years. How am I supposed to know whether we're doing this correctly? You have your lab kit, your supply list, complete biology kit here. See, it's providing everything. And the lab component can include microscope work and dissections. So if you're using this for high school biology, make sure you understand the complete course you're building: textbook, testing, video instruction if you want it, the lab manual, and whatever lab supplies your student needs. Don't simply purchase one piece and assume you have everything. And again, additional resources here are your free previews. And Curly gives you complete lesson video, corresponding textbook material, a complete lab video, and online review questions. I really do appreciate this because high school science is a significant commitment, and you should be able to see how your teenager responds to the instruction before investing in the entire course. Now, there's one thing I do want parents to understand about Science Shepherd. They provide a recommended course progression, and I think it's worth looking at if you're considering using this curriculum for several years. You don't necessarily have to follow their sequence exactly, but Science Shepherd themselves emphasize that homeschool families can adjust courses based on a student's experience, ability, and interest. But the progression helps you understand where each course generally fits. For example, introductory science is generally, um, let's see here, where is that? Here we go. Introductory science. It is generally grades 1 through 5. Earth science, approximately grades 2 through 6. Physical science is approximately grades 3 through 6. Life science moves us primarily into grades 6 through 8. And then there are more advanced middle school and high school preparatory courses before we reach their college prep biology. So don't assume you need every course. Use the progression guide to help you. Now, I do want to address worldview because with Science Shepherd, this is not a small detail. I was hoping that they would have a page on here, but I'm not seeing one. Science Shepherd teaches science from a young earth biblical creationist perspective. The company states that its materials are presented from a literal understanding of Genesis, including 6 literal 24-hour creation days and a young earth timeline. Evolution is discussed, but it is discussed from within that biblical framework. So I want to be very clear about that. If you're specifically looking for science that aligns with a literal Genesis creation worldview, Science Shepherd may immediately move higher on your research list. If you want secular science, this is not your curriculum. And if you're a Christian family whose views on origins differ from Science Shepherd's specific interpretation, I would absolutely look at the samples and worldview information before you purchase this. Christian curriculum can mean different things from one publisher to another. So always investigate what a company actually teaches and what is their interpretation of that. Okay, so let's put Science Shepherd through my Maggie O curriculum fit lens. As far as teaching approach goes, I would describe Science Shepherd as structured, video supported, and increasingly independent. At the elementary level, video instruction is central. As students move into middle and high school, textbooks become the foundation, and the video instruction becomes an optional but substantial teaching support. There are workbooks, review questions, testing, and increasingly formal lab work as students get older. As far as parent involvement, this is one of Science Shepherd's strengths for the parent who wants less direct teaching responsibility. Your young children will obviously still need oversight, but you're helping them stay on schedule, use the workbook, and complete activities. But the actual science instruction is coming through the video teacher. And as students get older, this can become considerably more independent. The textbook, the video instruction, parent companion, testing and labs provide a framework for the student that the student can increasingly manage. For learning style fit, I would especially investigate Science Shepherd for a visual or auditory learner. If your child learns better when someone explains something to them rather than just simply handing them a textbook, the video component could be extremely valuable. Students who like structure may also appreciate knowing exactly what to watch, read, and complete. And hands-on learners can incorporate the optional activities and the laboratory work. For philosophical fit, for homeschool philosophy, I see this fitting especially well with Christian, eclectic, and more traditional homeschool families. It is structured, it provides schedules, and increasingly textbook based. It becomes that. It incorporates testing as students get older. So, if you're looking for a very loose, child led, literature only science experience, this probably isn't where I would start. But I but if you want a clearly defined science course that your student can increasingly manage independently, I would take a serious look at this. And as we talked about, the worldview Science Shepherd is distinctly Christian and specifically young earth creationist. It teaches from a literal Genesis framework, and that worldview is integrated into the curriculum approaches, origins, and scientific interpretation. So, worldview needs to be one of your primary considerations. For preparation at the elementary level, this can be relatively open and go. Watch the lesson, complete the workbook, and the optional activities when desired. You still need to look ahead if you're going to do the hands on activities. And as you move into middle school and high school, labs require more preparation and supplies. As far as independence, this is probably one of the strongest reasons I would put Science Shepherd as someone's comparison list on the top. It is intentionally designed to allow students to work independently, and that independence increases naturally with age. For a homeschool parent teaching multiple children or someone who simply doesn't feel equipped to personally teach advanced science, that can be a significant advantage. Family learning, the elementary levels also give you an interesting family option. Level A and level B students, they can watch the same videos together while completing different workbooks that are appropriate for their ages. So you can get some of the convenience of family style science without requiring children of different ages to complete identical assignments. The hands-on component, they are hands-on activities, and there are hands-on activities in labs, but I would not characterize Science Shepherd as a curriculum where every science concept is primarily discovered through an experiment. The instruction itself is more direct and structured. So, if your child needs constant hands on exploration to stay interested, compare this carefully with something like Real Science Odyssey. If your child prefers somebody to clearly explain science first and then reinforce it through activities, Science Shepherd may be the stronger fit. Who I think Science Shepherd may fit best, I would put Science Shepherd on your research list if you want explicitly Christian science from a young earth creationist perspective. Your child learns well from video. You want your student to become increasingly independent. You don't feel confident personally teaching science. You have multiple elementary children who could watch lessons together. You want a structured program with clear scheduling, or you're looking ahead toward a substantial college preparatory high school biology course with video and lab support. You might want to keep looking if you're needing a secular science for sure. Your family's views on origins don't align with a young earth creationist curriculum. Your child strongly dislikes video instruction. You want science to be primary literature based. You want a very child led approach, or you want experiments and discovery to drive almost every lesson rather than direct instruction. And here's probably my biggest takeaway with Science Shepherd. Don't think of this simply as online science. There are actual curriculum materials behind those videos. At the elementary level, the workbook reinforces the video lesson. And the middle school level, we begin adding textbooks and optional labs. At the high school level, we're looking at a serious textbook based science course that can be supported by substantial video instruction and lab work. So ask yourself, how much of science teaching do I want to personally carry? Because if your answer is not very much, Maggie, Science Shepherd may deserve a spot near the top of your comparison list. So that's our look at Science Shepherd. And I appreciate your patience as I was navigating their website. I kind of get off course when I'm curious about some things myself, so I apologize for that. But definitely go there yourself and check it out. It's worth exploring. And this is another great example of why I don't want you choosing curriculum simply because somebody says, this is what we use. We've now looked at science programs that can create completely different homeschool days, haven't we? One family may absolutely thrive with experiments, exploration, and a highly hands on program. Another family may desperately need somebody knowledgeable on that computer screen saying, today, what we're learning, and neither family is homeschooling incorrectly. They simply need different tools. So that's what Curriculum Fit is all about and why we're doing these. I'm Maggie O with Homeschool with Maggie O, your homeschool mentor, and I'll see you at our next science curriculum review. Until next time, happy homeschooling.